Hi, I'm Debbie Harbeck, and I'm a certified life coach working with women in midlife and through the menopause transition. So each week, I'll be sharing the latest information, inspiration, and generate some momentum so you can move forward and feel more in control of your changing midlife body and your life. Let's go. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. So did you know that women over 40 make up 25% of the workforce here in Canada? That's about 5 million women. And that women over 50 is the biggest growing demographic of workers in the workplace. That's pretty significant because that means that, like it or not, menopause is happening in the workplace. We can't ignore it. We shouldn't ignore it. And we need to start talking about it and start making it normal, that it's just part of our lives, even in the workplace. Many women who are going into perimenopause and menopause, a majority of them don't have any idea what to expect during this time of life. And that included me a few years ago, which is a big reason why I started this podcast in the first place, was because I didn't know much about perimenopause, and I knew other women were feeling the same way. And 90% of us will experience symptoms during perimenopause or menopause, any number of the 30 plus symptoms that are out there. So what we need is to educate women and men in the workplace about what this time of life is all about. And it's in the best interest for workplaces to do this because $237 million a year in productivity is lost due to women suffering with menopause symptoms. And if you're not sure what all the menopause symptoms are, I do have an episode 46, which details them there. So go ahead and listen to that. But women are suffering from things like lack of sleep and subsequently a lack of focus. They're suffering from body pain, which if there's prolonged sitting or standing, that can be an issue. They're suffering from hot flashes, which of course can be an issue. Heavy periods, migraines, and so much more. So it's not hard to see why you might need to take time off, and you might even need to leave your job. So yes, employers are losing out to our productivity, but of course we're losing out too, because it's estimated that we're losing about $3.3 billion in income, that's here in Canada, a year, due to missed hours or missed days of work, or because we had to leave a job due to the severity of our symptoms. That's a lot of money. That's a huge amount of financial support that we're losing because of this unavoidable time of life that we've largely been ignoring up until now. So change needs to happen. It needs to happen in the workplace, not only to eliminate the stigma of menopause, but also just to support us in this time of life so we don't lose income and we do get the treatment we need because we don't have to worry about affording it, and we don't get burnt out or sick because we've been ignoring ourselves. I have to say that most of the education around menopause in the workplace is coming out of the UK. The UK has done an awful lot on this already. We are behind, so we have a ways to go here. Now, according to the Menopause Foundation of Canada, 9 in 10 women feel that their employers don't provide enough support for them. That's a huge number. About 2/3 of women don't feel comfortable talking to their supervisors about their menopause symptoms, and about 80% don't feel comfortable talking to HR about it. So clearly something needs to change. We need to be able to speak up. As most of us will be working during our menopause transition, our workplaces need to consider adapting their policies, their culture, their benefits to accommodate us. So what can that look like? Well, the first thing that clearly comes out of this is that we need to be able to talk about it. We need to communicate. We need to be educated about it. Women need to feel safe to open up. They need to feel heard, and they need to support each other and get the support of their leadership, who are made up of both men and women. But we also need some education on what's going on right now with our bodies and what can be expected in the coming years. But our colleagues and managers and HR, they all need to be educated on this too. A great place to start maybe would be to create a workplace support group that's dedicated to menopause, or at least includes menopause as an aspect of women's health. That could just be a really good start, a safe place where women can talk and open up and get some education about this time of life. And you could also nominate a menopause champion in your office who you can go talk to about issues related to menopause. Or maybe you could have a round table made up of people from different departments in your company to discuss what changes can be made and what would be useful and helpful for women so that they feel supported. You could get people like me, somebody who is working directly with menopause, to come and speak and educate your employees, your leadership about menopause and the various topics surrounding it, like what it is, like how you manage the symptoms of menopause, like the lifestyle changes that you can make that will make a difference, like the recommended workplace accommodations, which I'm going to talk about here, and so much more. Somebody like me can come in and do that. And actually, I'll be doing a talk in a workplace in March to talk about stress in menopause. So that's just an example. And this particular place has a menopause support group, and they hold monthly meetings and they have guest speakers. So that's just a really great example of what can be done. And there's so many things you could do. You just need to use your creativity. So the next thing to look at would be the policies. What are the policies that your workplace has, and how can they be changed to accommodate women in midlife and menopause? So things like sick days and the environment at the workplace, and training that's given to managers and employees, and workplace health and wellness, and hiring and retention. All of these areas and more could be looked at and maybe revised if needed to accommodate women in menopause. And the next thing to look at would be the employee benefits, of course. So here is where you can make sure that HRT is covered. So getting estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, that should be the first line of defense when it comes to the most common menopause symptoms, things like hot flashes. We should be able to get HRT covered by our workplaces. Some workplaces cover Viagra while they don't cover HRT. So we need to be really aware of what's going on, and because that's really not acceptable. So please go and check your benefits. In addition, getting coverage for alternative therapies that can also be enormously helpful. Things like pelvic floor physiotherapy, like if you have UTIs or vaginal discomfort, that could be enormously helpful. Acupuncture has been shown to help a lot of women. Massage therapy, nutritionists, all of these areas could be very beneficial for women at this point. And I will say life coaching, because that's what I do. And I help women create habits that reduce stress, that increase their fitness, that help them get better sleep so that they can perform better at work. And then there are, of course, mental health therapies, because women are going through more anxiety and depression at this time of life. And in fact, women between the ages of 40 and 60 are most at risk for suicide. And then making some changes in the workplace itself. So things like temperature and humidity. So hot flashes are real. They're a thing. And changing the temperature by lowering the temperature slightly can make things more comfortable. Having access to the washroom be easy. And also having big enough garbage cans for period products, because some women are bleeding very heavily at this time. Having uniforms that actually breathe. Flexible working hours, or maybe having the ability to work from home when you need to. And adding more breaks or making the break schedule more flexible. These are all examples of what you could do in the workplace. Even for me, who works from home, I work from home, and I've had to learn to allow myself time to get up from my chair to move around, because I get sore joints and I need time to rest when brain fog kicks in. I need to allow this for myself as well. So even when we're self-employed, we need to think about these things and just show ourselves a little self-compassion. All this to say that there's so much we can do to make working through menopause easier and to feel that we're supported by our workplaces. We are 1/4 of the workforce, And many of us are in leadership positions at this point in our careers, so our workplaces need us, but they have to take care of us too. And we need to advocate for ourselves. So if your workplace doesn't already have one, start a support group or get experts in to educate your people, or make changes around the office to make you and other women feel more comfortable and feel seen. We may need to be the ones who start the ball rolling, but it has to start somewhere, so why not you? Let's make change happen. Let's create workplaces that are inclusive, that include women in midlife and menopause, because they're such a big part of what makes you great. So on that note, I just want to reiterate that if you need help yourself as you transition through menopause, or if your workplace needs education, coaching, or recommendations, I can definitely be of service. So thanks so much for listening to this episode. I think it was an extremely important one, and I'd love you to share it. I'm sure there's a lot of people who could benefit from it. And I will be sharing that document from the Menopause Foundation of Canada in the show notes, so please go there to find that. And until next week, I wish you a fantastic week, and thanks for listening. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Midlife Momentum Podcast. If you want to learn more about working with me, come visit me at debbieharbeckcoaching.com. That's Debbie, I-E, Harbeck with a C, coaching.com. See you next week.